I was the girl next door. Amelia was the dramatic new arrival. Everyone says the childhood sweetheart never beats the girl who drops in from the sky. Amelia transferred to our school not long ago. Soon after, people started whispering about what they saw. An empty stairwell after class. And my rebellious childhood friend, Marco, bowing his head like a scolded puppy, apologizing to her. Later, after Amelia and I had a small falling out, he coldly threw out one line: "I don't want to see Selena at school anymore," afraid to offend Marco's powerful family. My parents immediately transferred me out, and just like that, I vanished from his world. No longer daring to even show my face. But on his birthday, he showed up at my door, soaked to the bone, looking miserable and pitiful. Did you forget today's my birthday? Chapter 01. They say childhood friends never win against the new girl. I used to scoff at that, but when I sat in the auditorium and saw Marco gazing at Amelia as she danced on stage, his eyes full of affection and tenderness he never showed me, I believed it. I believed the rumors too, the ones that said our usually arrogant Marco had once lowered his head like a guilty puppy, apologizing to Amelia in a deserted stairwell, the feelings I never got the chance to confess. I guess they'll stay buried in my heart forever. As the music ended, I clapped along with everyone else for the girl who shone like a star on stage. Marco got up from his seat. He was probably going to find Amelia. I stood up too, and quietly walked out of the auditorium. Outside, I held up a little gourd-shaped trinket hanging from my hand. It swayed in the wind. "Selena, for you," he had once said. I asked him curiously, "What is this?" 7-year-old Marco had watched soap operas with his aunt one day and learned about something called a token of love. "I'm giving it to Selena, so she can only like me from now on. I'll always protect Selena too." My eyes burned. I took the little trinket in my hand. Kids say all sorts of things they don't mean, but I believed him. Marco, the little tyrant who feared no one, was the joy and secret of my entire youth. Amelia transferred in this semester. She was pretty and a dance student. She caused quite a stir from the moment she arrived. Some girls in our class even said she was like one of those school romance heroines, sweet, quiet, and soon to be swept up by the school's bad boy. Next thing you know, the bad boy would change for her. Lots of boys started chasing after her. Some even joked, "All that's missing is Marco." Marco lazily stretched, gave the guy a glance, and said, "She's not even in my league." So arrogant, right? Back then, I didn't believe he and Amelia were together, because I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, because he never said anything to me. But now, I get it. It's time I let go. It's time I kept my distance from Marco too. We used to walk home together every day. I don't even remember when he started coming up with excuses to have me leave first. He could have just told me. I wouldn't have clung to him. After all, we were never really together. Chapter 02. Sunday evening. Back at school, we had to hand in our homework during night study. Marco was always the defiant type. His answer to the class monitor was just, "Didn't do it." He used to listen to me. Everyone knew that. So whenever he acted up, they'd come to complain to me. It was the same this time, but now, they couldn't even find him. Because as soon as class ended, he had gone to find Amelia. Selena. Marco didn't hand in his homework again, and no one knows where he went. "Could you? You can just give it to the teacher," I replied with a calm smile. "And from now on, don't come to me about his homework anymore." They looked a bit stunned but nodded. After all, the rumors about Marco having a girlfriend seemed true, and seeing how I reacted only confirmed it for them. When class started, I lowered my head and focused on my exam paper. Before Amelia showed up, I used to dream of Marco and I getting into North City University together. Now, I was going to work hard on my own and chase that dream for myself. Marco didn't show up the entire night study session. The teacher sitting at the lectern frowned and asked where he was. Everyone turned to look at me, but I never once looked up. Second period. Marco finally returned from outside. He sat down silently and didn't say a word until someone told him the homeroom teacher wanted to see him. He finally reacted, and when he walked past me, he paused for a moment. But I didn't look up. I was stuck on the last math problem. I could always solve the first part, but the second always made my brain freeze. Eventually, I worked it out. My desk mate leaned over carefully and asked, What happened between you and Marco? Nothing. Really? But before, whenever he didn't do homework or skipped night study, you'd worry more than anyone. She clearly didn't believe me. I hesitated, then told her. That was before. I'm not going to care about him anymore. Oh, she covered her mouth in surprise. So it's true, Marco's girlfriend is Amelia. I kept my eyes lowered and said nothing. When the bell rang for the second night class, Marco strolled back into the room slowly. Not long after, I received a folded note, "Go home first after class." I glanced at it calmly, tucked it away, and went back to my paper. The classroom was always chaotic at the end of the day. I sat quietly, packing my things. Suddenly, everything went silent. My deskmate gasped, covering her mouth. I followed her gaze. At the door stood Amelia. She tilted her head slightly and crooked her finger at Marco, then walked away. Instinctively, I turned to look at Marco. He gave a helpless smile and followed her out. The room instantly buzzed with chatter. Wow, so it's real. I used to think Marco and Selena were perfect for each other, the bad boy and the good girl. But now, the school rebel and the dancer? That's a power couple. Stop flip-flopping. Am I the only one who feels bad for Selena? They grew up together. You know. Yep, childhood friends never beat the new girl. My deskmate bit her lip, wanting to comfort me. I slung my backpack over my shoulder. My heart was breaking, the pain unbearable, but I smiled. I couldn't cry. I couldn't let anyone see that I was hurt. If I did, I'd be tomorrow's gossip. I'm fine. Marco and I were always just friends. I'm heading out. See you tomorrow. She still looked a little worried and waved at me. See you. Take care on your way home. Walking out of the noisy school, I clenched the straps of my bag and bit down hard, but I couldn't stop the tears from falling. My chest felt tight. It hurt so much. How did he fall for someone else so suddenly? Through blurry vision, I could still hear the voice of that cocky boy, so confident and proud. I can do anything. Selena's mine to protect forever. Chapter 03. Selena. Why didn't you wait for me this morning? Marco had arrived late. After class, he walked over with a tone full of grievance and placed a bottle of milk on my desk. I paused, mid-word, my pen hovering over my vocabulary notebook. I glanced at the milk from the corner of my eye. I already had breakfast, and from now on, I won't walk to school with you anymore. I'll be coming in early. Marco sat down beside me, looking confused. He propped his chin on his hand and stared at me. I didn't do anything to upset you lately, did I? We always walked together, didn't we? That was before. I set down my pen, took a deep breath, and smiled as I said, "You have a girlfriend now. We should keep our distance." His expression froze for a moment. Then he snapped out of it. "She won't mind. She knows that. I mind." I looked at him steadily. I don't want to be the one blamed if anything ever goes wrong between you two. Selena. Marco actually has a short temper and very little patience. The fact that he was still talking meant he had already used up all of it. And now, his face turned cold. He stood up suddenly. The screech of his chair scraping the floor rang out harshly as he threw out a parting line. Whatever. I lowered my head and closed my eyes in silence. Last night I sat out on the balcony with the wind blowing all night, wondering whether I should keep hiding my feelings like a fool and stay by his side, or whether the bond from childhood should finally end here. They say the look of love is impossible to hide, and if I kept following him around, it wouldn't be fair to me or to Amelia. No girlfriend wants her boyfriend to have another girl constantly lingering around him. After that day, Marco never spoke to me again. Even if we passed each other in the hallway, he'd just walk right past. The girl once always by his side, me, was now Amelia. He introduced Amelia to everyone in his social circle. Amelia was his first love, the girl he really liked. I studied quietly, listening like everyone else to stories about their sweet romance, retold by others. Amelia once had stomach pain late at night from dance practice on an empty stomach. The next day, Marco brought her a specially prepared low-fat dinner from his family's nutritionist. A jock from a neighboring school cornered Amelia after class to confess to her. And rumor has it Marco beat him up pretty badly. This month's exams, I made it back to first place in our grade. The teacher once told me not to worry about Marco, that focusing on him would only hurt my own progress. Marco's family was rich, so doing well in school didn't mean much to him. After school, I leaned on my hand and looked at the sunset outside the window. Selena, what university do you want to go to? One summer afternoon, Marco sat beside me, casually twirling a strand of my hair around his fingers. Without hesitation, I answered, North City University, so far away. I never told him the full reason I wanted to go there. It wasn't just because it's one of the top universities. I wanted to get away from here, away from that house. My dad changed once he got rich, just like any other man. My mom refused to divorce him. She believed it was her fault for not giving him a son. That was why he had all those women outside. At night, when everything was quiet, she'd break down screaming, pointing at me, asking why I wasn't born a boy. Because then, Dad wouldn't have cheated. And in the end, she really did give birth to a son. Dad came home for a bit, but once Mom had my little brother, all her love and focus went to him. She finally felt like she had someone to rely on, a son to take care of her in old age. Then I'll go to North City University too, Marco said lazily. You're so dumb. You'd be a mess without me around to protect you. That cocky boy in front of me was the only light in those broken days, and I desperately wanted to hold on to that light. So I gave him all my time, even if I never made it into North City University. As long as I ended up at the same school as him, that would have been enough. Chapter 04. A rumor started spreading around school that Amelia was the other woman who came between Marco and me. After Ava and I came back from the bathroom, we saw Amelia running past us, crying with her hand over her mouth. But before I could react, Marco stormed up and grabbed me by the throat, like he wanted to strangle me. Selena, weren't you the one who said you'd stay away from me? What the hell are you playing at now? His grip was so tight I couldn't breathe. Ava panicked and tried to pull him off me. Are you insane? We just got back from the bathroom. Let her go. She can't breathe. Marco suddenly let go, and I collapsed, gasping for air. You're disgusting. Selena, are you okay? Ava asked, horrified. I crouched down, coughing violently, tears falling from my eyes uncontrollably. Ava wrapped her arms around me, gently patting my back. It's okay, Selena. Marco and that psycho girlfriend of his must have lost their minds. I wiped my tears and bit my lip, trying not to sob. The hatred in Marco's eyes just now. I didn't recognize him. He genuinely looked like he wanted to kill me. The boy I once knew, he was gone. Completely gone. Later, a classmate slipped me their phone under the desk, showing me a post someone had anonymously posted on the school's confession wall, accusing Amelia of being a homewrecker, of ruining Marco and me. Most people believed it. The comments were vicious, tearing Amelia apart. I glanced at the red marks on my neck and thought, I'll post a clarification after school. I'll set the record straight. But before I got the chance, I came home to find my parents waiting grimly on the couch. Something was wrong. I hadn't even stepped fully into the room when a glass cup was thrown at my feet. It shattered. What the hell did you do at school to piss off Marco? My father roared, slamming the table so hard the floor shook. Do you know our company survives off business with his family's firm? Are you trying to ruin me? I stood there silently while my mother spat cruel insults at me, calling me a worthless burden. My father demanded I go apologize to Marco immediately. The cold, lifeless villa felt like a freezer. I was trembling from head to toe. I don't even remember how the scolding ended, or how I got dragged to Marco's place. All I wanted to say was, that post wasn't from me. But I'll clarify it. I promise. But when the door opened, and he looked down at me from above, his expression was icy and distant. I couldn't say a word. I bowed my head and apologized. He just leaned against the doorway and said coldly, I don't want to see you at school ever again, Selena. My parents nodded and bowed, groveling, assuring him I'd never appear in front of him again. I looked up mechanically, under the pale white light. I couldn't even make out his face anymore. At that moment, my dignity was crushed into the dirt. Only then did I realize, Marco and I were never from the same world. We were never equals. Not in love, not in life. The moon never descends just because someone wishes for it. And what falls into the well is only the reflection, an illusion. All the kindness Marco once showed me? Just a fleeting whim of a privileged boy. I shouldn't have let myself dream. From the very beginning, it was a mistake. That night, I quietly packed my things while my parents arranged my school transfer. Chapter 05. It had been almost 2 weeks since I transferred schools. I rented a small place near campus. My parents, afraid Marco would get angry if he saw me again, told me not to go home at all, even though we were still in the same city, East and West Side. If you didn't deliberately seek someone out, you wouldn't see them. Hey, Selena, come watch me play basketball today? The guy talking wore a black and white jersey, his fox-like eyes curved with a smile. When I first arrived, a girl in my class had warned me. That guy's name is Elias. He's famous, super handsome, and a total scumbag. Our classmates all seemed busy doing their own thing, but I could feel their side glances, flicking this way from time to time. I'd already lost count of how many times Elias had come to talk to me. People said this was the first time Elias had seriously chased after a girl, and he'd been at it for weeks. At our age, it's hard not to imagine yourself living out some kind of school romance. They called him the reformed bad boy. But a reformed bad boy is still dirty. I shook my head lightly. I'll pass. I've got homework. He glanced at the workbook on my desk and raised an eyebrow. Selena, do you know I've been chasing you for 2 weeks? So? He chuckled. So why do you keep turning me down? By then, most of the class had cleared out. Outside, the setting sun dyed the sky in rich amber tones. I suddenly remembered something I once read. The evening breeze is free, so is the sunset. And I am one of a kind. Selena, he said, you've got this strange contradiction about you. A whistle sounded from the basketball court, breaking through the warmth of dusk. I looked at him. He smirked slightly, a mix of death in your eyes, and a wild, cold edge. That's what makes me more curious about you. I shot him a cold glance and reminded him flatly, your game's starting. Today we're playing against lynching no one high. His voice was low and husky, as if hinting at something more. No one else noticed. I kept my head down and returned to my workbook. He clicked his tongue in boredom and left. Once he was far enough, I looked up at the silent wall clock. The post on the confession wall, I had a vague guess who wrote it. But what could they possibly gain from doing that? This school was different from my last one. At 6:30 p.m., they cut power to the classrooms. As the electricity shut off, the only light left came from the fading sunset. I packed up my books, slung my backpack over my shoulders, and walked downstairs. The soft evening breeze carried down crabapple blossoms from the trees, scattering the petals across the ground, then blowing them away again. I stood there, blinking slowly, watching. These short years of my life had felt just like those petals, fragile, helpless. Hey, isn't that Selena? The voice pulled me from my thoughts. I was about to turn and leave when 2 familiar faces blocked my way. They looked a bit surprised to see me here. Back then, when I was always by Marco's side, I got to know his friends pretty well. We all got along, for the most part. Both of them were holding bottles of water, probably just came from the school store. Selena, you really transferred here? I looked at him, unsure what the word really was supposed to mean. I simply nodded. One of them nudged the other. Selena, you and Marco grew up together. Since he's here today too, maybe you two can clear up this misunderstanding. Everyone had said they didn't believe I could do such a thing. But Marco, the boy I grew up with, was the one who had believed it. I didn't. Before I could finish, Marco's cold voice rang out not far away. Buying water take that long? Or are you still busy chatting with irrelevant people? He stood a few meters away, gaze sharp and hostile, eyes scanning over me like I was a stranger. His friends glanced at me awkwardly, then quickly stepped aside. I smiled politely. I'll get going. See you around. Yeah, see you. Chapter 06. Life at Fourth High was quiet. Time passed slowly. Sometimes I'd get stuck in my own thoughts. Why did no one love me? I was excellent. My name was always on the honor roll. When I was little, Mom used to say, everyone loves kids who get good grades. But when I grew up, I realized the teachers liked good students, but not everyone else did. I studied quietly, waited for tests, waited for the college entrance exam. I didn't wait for anyone else anymore. My grades soared. In the recent citywide joint exam, I ranked first, standing tall on the podium, The warm summer breeze lifted my hair and fluttered my uniform. I looked down at the sea of students in matching blue and white uniforms. Their eyes were full of admiration and envy. The principal stood at the microphone, throwing out every impressive adjective in the book to describe me. Outside the window, vines climbed higher and higher up the trees. The cicadas grew louder. The sunset grew redder. In the senior wing, the sound of studying echoed louder in the halls. Everyone wished they could hit pause, slow time down just a little. I hadn't seen Marco again. It was like I'd completely cut ties with all my old friends. But then again, those people were never really my friends. They were Marco's friends. After summer break started, I didn't go back to that house. It was too close to Marco's home. Since the day I came to 4th High, the only thing my parents had told me was, "Don't let Marco see you. If you ever run into him, avoid him." This year, I turned 17. Next semester, I'd be in my final year of high school. My parents never asked if I was anxious, never cared about me. Under the dim glow of a street lamp, I sat on a bench, memorizing an English writing exercise. But it was okay. Every formula I wrote, every word I memorized, every poem I recited, every problem I solved, they'd all carry me out of here. They'd take me to a brighter, better future. People came and went down the path in front of me. No one stopped for anyone else. Chapter 07. This afternoon, as I was leaving the library, my phone rang. I answered. Silence. I frowned at the screen. No contact name. I hesitated, then said, "Hello?" Still no reply. Without a second thought, I hung up. Selena. Elias came running from the gym across the street, waving. "Wanna grab dinner?" I held my books and looked past him at his friends, hurrying each other along. "I'm taking mine to go," I said. "You go eat with your friends." "Oh, come on, you always eat takeout. That's not healthy." He grabbed my wrist. "Let me treat you to something nice." Before I could protest, he was already pulling me along. He took me to a French restaurant. The people inside wore formal suits and elegant dresses. Even the waiters were in full uniforms. Then there was us. I wore a loose white t-shirt and denim shorts. He wore his red and white basketball uniform. We clearly didn't belong. I quickly tugged his arm. "Are you sure we should be here, dressed like this?" He blinked at me, puzzled. "It's just a place to eat, right?" The way he said it, so open, so nonchalant, made it sound perfectly reasonable. Before I could say more, a server approached, looked us up and down with a smile, and asked, "Table for two?" "Yes." Elias nodded. "Right this way," the waiter said cheerfully, leading us inside. He took us to a window seat. Then he asked, "Would you like to enjoy the view?" Elias tilted his chin toward me. I checked the time. A little past 6. There should still be sunset. I gave a slight nod. He smiled. "All right." Then he pressed something, and suddenly, a warm golden beam filtered through the inky glass window. I opened my mouth in surprise, a little stunned. That was kind of magical. When I came back to my senses, the waiter had already left. Elias handed me the menu. "What do you feel like eating?" The prices weren't cheap. I hesitated. He chuckled, teasing. "Worried you'll bankrupt me?" Half his face was bathed in the golden light, his eyes shimmering like they held starlight. I answered honestly, "It all looks kind of expensive." "Don't worry. I can afford it. Get whatever you want." I handed the menu back. "You order. I'm not picky." He took it with a grin. "Nice. You're easy to feed. How do you like your steak cooked?" "I don't like it too raw." He thought for a moment. "Well done isn't great either. Want to go with medium well?" "Sure." After we finished ordering, I pointed to myself. "Guess what I look like right now?" He sipped his water, smiled, and played along. "What?" "Granny Lou entering the Grand View Garden." He laughed. When Elias laughed, 2 soft dimples appeared. He looked so warm in the sunlight. And just like that, I thought of Marco again. I hadn't thought about him in a while. He had a dimple too, but he rarely smiled. Most of the time, it was just a faint curl of his lips. Back then, I used to poke his dimple and say, "You should smile more. You look good when you smile." But after Amelia came, he started smiling more. Sometimes sweetly, sometimes dotingly. Now that I think about it, there's a universal formula for this kind of thing. He just didn't like smiling at me. The meal began under a brilliant sunset, and by the time we left, night had already fallen. The plaza outside was full of people. Selena, I had a great time today. I looked up. He was smiling down at me. Today's my birthday. What? I stared at him, shocked. It's your birthday? Then I should have treated you. Why didn't you tell me earlier? He sighed, playing the victim. I was afraid if I told you, you wouldn't eat with me. I wouldn't do that, I said. A few moments passed. I started thinking about what I could buy him as a gift. Suddenly, his warm breath brushed my cheek. He had leaned in close. His voice was husky, thinking about what to get me. A couple of days ago, he dyed his hair golden blonde. It got him publicly shamed on the school bulletin board. Now, the wind played with his hair like he was a golden retriever. I want that sachet from last time. That day, he'd come looking for me. I was packing up, and the sachet had fallen out of my bag. He picked it up and dangled it. Give it to me, Selena? He asked. I had turned him down, because that sachet had been a birthday gift I made for Marco. Hand embroidered. Every stitch by me, even if Marco would never receive it now. Giving it to Elias just didn't feel right. It would feel like I was giving him something someone else rejected. This time, I nodded firmly. Okay, but give me a few days. I'll make you a new one. On the way back, Elias asked me something for the first time. Selena, where do you want to go for college? I looked up at the sparse stars above. North City University. Why? Because I don't like it here. It never snows here. I want to see snow. Elias looked down, lost in thought. He just nodded. We reached my place slowly. He stopped outside and said, "Go ahead, bye." I walked a few steps, then turned back to look at him. He stood in the shadows, wearing his basketball jersey, smiling faintly. His eyes dim. My heart ached a little. I waved. Elias, happy birthday. He lifted his hand and waved back with a bright smile. Selena, you'll definitely get into North City University. Chapter 08. I always thought Elias and I had all the time in the world. But still, I wanted to finish the sachet quickly and give it to him in person. I wasn't sure if he liked the scent of mugwort. So I bought other sun-dried flowers too. I embroidered 2 designs, one red guardian lion and one blue dragon, both shaped like lucky charms. Once they were finished, I strung them together. The sunlight spilled softly onto them. I imagined how Elias might react when he saw them. After getting off the bus, I ran straight to his neighborhood, unable to wait. But when I got there, I saw workers moving furniture out nonstop. I froze in place. My heart dropped like a stone. I slowly walked forward and asked a nearby young woman in a hushed voice. "Excuse me, what happened to the person who used to live here?" "Oh, he moved out a few days ago. I think." "I see, okay." I nodded blankly and turned away. I sat on a bench for a long time, trying to process the fact that Elias had left. Why did he leave without saying a word? Weren't we friends? My vision blurred. The gift bag in my hand felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Why is it that whenever I finally adapt to someone's presence, they leave, just like everyone else? Expressionless. I wiped my tears and threw the gift bag into the trash, then walked away. That night, it rained heavily. I stared out the window. Phone screen lit up, Elias's contact page, but I couldn't bring myself to call. If he picked up, what would I say? Ask him why he left without a word? Maybe to him, I was just another girl he chased on a whim, not even worth a goodbye. And suddenly, I realized I looked like a joke, tripping over the same stone again and again, never learning. A knock on the door pulled me back to the present. When I opened it, Marco stood there, soaked to the bone, miserable and dripping. He looked at me, his voice small and pitiful. "Did you forget today's my birthday?" If this had been the old me, would I have forgiven him? I don't know, but me now, sadly, felt absolutely nothing for him. And at that moment, I remembered a quote. When this person stands in front of you again, and you feel nothing, no love, no hate, then it's really over. His eyes were red as he looked at me. Selena, it's my birthday. You promised you'd always be there on my birthday. I was exhausted. Happy birthday. Is that enough? I'm sorry. Selena, are you still mad at me? He suddenly grabbed my hand and slapped himself hard with it. I frowned. Force is mutual. My palm stung. He tried to use my hand to hit himself again. I yanked it back. Teeth clenched. If you want to lose it, go do it at your own house. Don't lose it here. Marco's skin was pale, and the handprint on his face stood out starkly. I didn't care if it hurt him. What I feared was getting in trouble over it. He opened his mouth, but the rain kept falling, drip, drip. His voice was bitter. Selena, I was wrong. I don't know what came over me back then. By the time I wanted to fix things, you had already transferred. I went to 4th High to find you. But I saw some guy talking to you by the window. I was so angry. Those things I said, I didn't mean them. Forget it. I sighed, exhaling heavily. An overwhelming weariness washed over me. Marco stared at me, pale and speechless. I gave a soft laugh. The confession wall thing, Marco. Someone like you could have easily found out who posted it. As soon as I said that, he lowered his head in pain. You already guessed who it was. We grew up together. You know me. You know I'd never do something that low. Marco, it's not that you didn't believe I didn't do it. It's that you chose to believe I did. Amelia wants everyone to know she's your girlfriend. She wants to force a clean break between you and me over this. Wants everyone to see that your new girl matters more than the girl who grew up by your side. And you indulged all her slander and madness. I looked at him coldly, ignoring the pain and sorrow on his face. You already made your choice from the very beginning. So why are you coming to me now? Selena, I'm sorry. He reached out to grab me. I stepped back. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Back then, I didn't even know what I was doing. Only after you left did I realize I couldn't live without you. I really miss you. Ever since you've been gone, I think about you every day. I went to 4th High, waited for you outside. But I couldn't find you. I couldn't see you anywhere. Selena. Tears fell from Marco's eyes as he apologized again and again. I lowered my head. Exhausted. The boy who once walked so many roads with me in our youth had become someone I could no longer stand to look at. The old Marco wouldn't have done this to me. He was no longer the boy who once threw his jacket over my head to block the rain. Who stood tall and told me, Selena, I'm here. That boy had vanished with time, and he wasn't coming back. Marco. Amelia's voice called out from not far away, choked with sobs. He didn't even turn around. Suddenly, she cried and begged me, Selena, Marco's all I have. Please, don't take him from me. I'm begging you. She was a dancer. Years of dietary control left her pale and delicate. Her crying face soft and pitiful. Shut up. I told you, we're done. Get lost. Marco roared in anger. What did I do wrong? She sobbed. Please tell me. I love you so much. I don't want to break up with you. I didn't want to watch this pathetic back and forth anymore, so I simply closed the door. Chapter 09. I didn't want to know about their love story, let alone be part of it. September arrived. I was finally in my senior year. Just as our homeroom teacher said, nothing matters more than the college entrance exam now. I had only one goal: get into North City University. Later, Ava sent me some juicy updates. Turns out all of Amelia's shiny dance championship titles? Fake, watered down, and even her art college entrance exam bribed the judges. Every student who took those exams, how much pain they endured, how many tears they wiped away, how much sweat they shed on the floor. And yet they gritted their teeth and pushed forward. When people like her cheat the system, who wouldn't be furious? There are too many people, and too little opportunity. It blew up online. Thanks to her pure face, Amelia had gained some fame, only to be dragged through the mud. In the end, her scores were invalidated. Her reputation collapsed. She had nothing left. So she clung to Marco relentlessly. He was beyond annoyed. His parents finally transferred him to another school. So Amelia couldn't find him anymore. Now, on the school's confession wall, People were sighing. The more obsessed they were with the couple back then, the more embarrassed they felt now. I read it all like a joke. I focused completely on studying. The countdown posters on the wall grew thinner and thinner. Every student wished they could rip time open. So much to learn. So little time. There was always something we hadn't mastered yet. And the monthly exam was around the corner again. I saw Marco standing outside our school building many times, usually quiet, waiting a while before leaving. And then, in June, the cicadas' buzzing grew weaker, then faded completely. The college entrance exam arrived. It poured that day. I still remember how hard the math test was. By the fifth multiple-choice question, my hands were soaked in sweat. My forehead was damp with cold fear. When I left the exam hall, I thought, it's over. The stairwells echoed with complaints about the brutal math section. Some people couldn't take it and broke down crying. Ugh, math was too hard. I'm gonna die. But time never stops for anyone's complaints. And the exam doesn't get easier just because you cry. The final subject was biology. I checked every answer carefully. One last time. Closed my pen. Outside the window, green leaves swayed gently. The classroom was dead silent. A prompt sounded. 5 minutes left. My high school life, my youth, was ending. I walked out of the test center. Out of the building. Looking back at the school I'd only spent a year and a half in, I still felt overwhelmed. I smiled and waved goodbye to my youth. Goodbye. Fourth high. Goodbye. To my 18-year-old self. No one stays 18 forever. But someone will always be 18. Chapter 10. After the exams, I didn't go back home. I went straight with Ava to Chingching for a summer job. There, I kept getting calls from Lingching every few days. I rejected every one of them. People don't get lost because they didn't hold hands. They get lost because they were distracted by flowers along the path. When the exam results came out, mine were flagged and hidden. Then I received a text from the provincial education office. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Covering my mouth, I burst into tears. I was the provincial top scorer, 713 points. I didn't waste my 3 years. Every step I took mattered. After the results, more people started looking for me, including my parents. I coldly watched as they smiled for the media, boasting about how well they had raised me, how great their parenting was. Ava crossed her arms, furious. They've got some nerve. They never even raised you. I stared silently into the distance. Then the media found me. I kept a calm smile and slowly told the truth. I had a cheating father, a biased mother, a broken home, and a girl who didn't believe in fate and fought her way forward. In this age of fast-spreading information, my interview went viral. People pitied me and admired the strength of my heart. Later, I changed my SIM card, with the school's full scholarship and all the awards. I had more than enough to cover my entire 4 years of college. Chapter 11. The second morning after the new semester began was the opening ceremony of our military training. My roommates and I rushed to the sports field. There were so many people we couldn't find our class spot. I stood there scratching my head, feeling completely lost. Suddenly, a clear voice sounded behind me. Hey, classmate. I froze for a second, then turned around. A familiar face appeared, backlit by sunlight. He lowered his head slightly and said, "Long time no see." That day, after the ceremony ended, I dragged my roommate straight to the cafeteria. That evening, Elias blocked me at the dorm entrance, looking at my gossip-hungry roommates. He said, "Can I borrow her for a minute?" "Thanks." I didn't want to talk to him and tried to follow the others upstairs. He grabbed my wrist. Even a death sentence deserves a chance to defend itself, right? I kept my face expressionless and walked off to the side. "I'm sorry," he said gently. "I didn't mean to disappear like that." He looked down. My family's actually in North City. I had a huge falling out with them, so I transferred to Linching. The reason I left so suddenly was because my grandma got really sick. She's the only one in my family who treats me well. Then he added, "This might sound dramatic, but when I got back to North City, my phone was stolen. I was busy taking care of her, and when I finally got a new SIM card, you'd already blocked me. I actually went back to Linching later. But by then you were in senior year. I was afraid showing up would affect your mood. So, I didn't dare appear. I swear. I didn't lie. Every word is true. The girls returning to the dorm kept sneaking glances at us. Once we made eye contact, they'd quickly turn away. I stared at our shadows on the ground. Thoughts tangled, and finally nodded. Okay, I get it. I didn't know how I felt. Angry? Not really. Happy? Not that either. I just wanted to leave. If there's nothing else, I'll go. But just as I turned to leave, Elias pulled me into a hug. His voice was muffled. Selena, I like you. This isn't some fake reformed playboy act. I'm not tainted. I've never had a girlfriend. There was a girl who chased me for a long time. But I never said yes. Those rumors about me changing girls like clothes, she made them up out of spite. His warm hand rested on my waist. His voice low again. Will you be my girlfriend? That night, I didn't answer. I just ran. Chapter 12. After military training, Elias was in East Campus studying computer science, while I was in West Campus, majoring in law. He's handsome. Since school started, his face had conquered the entire confession wall. Eventually, someone couldn't help but post at everyone crushing on Elias from CS. Stop posting already. See this? I'm in law too. Same class as his girlfriend. He comes to every class to sit with her. So sweet. Y'all can stop dreaming. Attached was a photo. Me sitting by the window, stone-faced, while Elias sat next to me with a guilty look, staring cautiously. Truth is, I just told him not to come to my classes anymore. After it went viral, everyone joked Elias looked like a little husband. All sulky and obedient. Marco had tried applying to schools in North City, but his scores weren't high enough. On Christmas Day, I realized I'd left my phone in the dorm. When I returned to the gate, Marco was there. His eyes lit up when he saw me. Selena, I finally found you. I frowned and tried to walk past. He was wearing the down jacket and scarf I gave him back then, still unwilling to give up. He said, "It's Christmas. Can we eat together? Shouldn't you ask her boyfriend first, before asking someone else's girlfriend to dinner?" Elias appeared out of nowhere, blocking the space between us. Marco's fists clenched. His face turned pale. Selena, is that true? It is. I said. I have a boyfriend now. Don't come looking for me again. He shook his head like he'd lost his mind. Eyes red. But you used to say you'd marry me. I'm the one who lost you. Selena. Elias walked up, face cold, and yanked him by the collar. Yeah, thanks for your bad taste. Now get lost. Marco seemed to lose all strength, and fell to the ground. Elias grabbed my hand, and we walked right past him. Selena. I'm sorry. He muttered. Chapter 13. My family's business had always relied on Marco's family. Not long after Marco returned home, my parents came all the way to North City to find me. They told me to get back together with Marco. I stared at them in disbelief. What kind of parents could say something so heartless? My eyes turned red. I shouted at them. You never loved me, so why did you even bring me into this world? My mom jabbed her finger into my forehead and shrieked. If that damn quack hadn't hinted you were going to be a boy, you never would have had the chance to be born. In an instant, my ears buzzed loudly, and I kept stepping back. They looked like beasts, ready to tear me apart. That's when Elias rushed over, pulled me into his arms, and covered my ears. Don't listen to their nonsense, he whispered. Eventually, my family still went bankrupt. Marco kept waiting for me to come beg him. But that was the one thing I'd never do. What he didn't know was, I gave him a bigger gift. Amelia had been trying to contact Marco for years. That night, Marco sent me his hotel location and room number. I forwarded it to Amelia. Let the once loving couple have a proper reunion. The next day, Amelia showed up at Marco's company, heavily pregnant, screaming that he had to take responsibility, or she'd sue him for rape. The funny part? Amelia had a delusional suitor who'd been funding her all these years. Later, that man found Marco, stabbed him, causing severe injuries and the loss of a spleen. Amelia? beaten into a coma by her own obsessed admirer. It made headlines both locally and online. I told them I would walk toward a bright future. They could rot in the mud. Selena, didn't you say you'd make me a sachet? It's been so long, where is it? Elias kept pestering me about the scented sachet. Because of what happened before, I didn't want to make one, so he kept bringing it up. Finally, I sighed and pulled one out of my bag. A Lucky Charm-shaped sachet. Here. Elias lit up like a kid getting candy. Years later, I wrote the final line in my book. My husband, his arrival was the redemption of my life. Chapter 14, Elias's POV. I once read this line in a book. Calling someone by their full name is like whispering a love confession. But I guess Selena never picked up on it. That's okay. Later, when I accidentally found her scented sachet, I remembered. You give sachets only to someone you love. I wanted one. She wouldn't give it. When she finally agreed to make one, God knows how happy I was. But life played one last cruel joke. I missed it again. Luckily, now, as I watch her sleeping next to me, I can't help but kiss her and whisper, this time, I didn't miss it.